हरे कृष्ण। हरि बोल, हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल। माने आनंद बोल हरि बोल, माने आनंद पाए बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल। जन्म जन्म के बोल हरि बोल, जन्म जन्म के बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल। मानव जन्म पाए बोल हरि बोल, मानव जन्म पाए बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल। सुखेगा तो दुखेगा तो बोल हरि बोल, सुखेगा को दुखेगा तो बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल। संपदे विपदे भाई बोल हरि बोल, संपदे विपदे भाई बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल। गृहेता को वनेता तो बोल हरि बोल, गृहेता को वनेता तो बोल हरि बोल। कृष्णेरा संसारे साथी बोल हरि बोल, कृष्णेरा संसारे साथी बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल। सत्संग छाड़ी बाई बोल हरि बोल, असत्संग छाड़ी बाई बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल। वैष्णव चरणे बोली बोली है बोल हरि बोल, वैष्णव चरणे बोली बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल। गौरा नित्यानंद बोल, गौरा नित्यानंद बोल, गौरा धर बोल, गौरा धर बोल। गौरा अद्वैता बोल, गौरा अद्वैता बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल। माने नंदे भाई बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा, हरे कृष्णा, कृष्णा कृष्णा, हरे हरे, हरे राम, हरे राम, राम राम, हरे हरे। जय प्रभु पदा, प्रभु पदा, प्रभु पदा, जय प्रभु पदा। जय जय गुरुदेव, 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 जय जय नित्य गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, गौर हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा।
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोऽपि संस्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सहगता सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगणा ललिता विशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते सप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभवेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वती व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नायक कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजान्धरे। आराध्य भगवान् हृदीशतनया तद्धाम वृन्दावनं रम्य कच्चिदुपासन व्रजवदौ वर्गेण वा कल्पिता श्रीमद्भागवतं प्रमाणम् अमलं प्रेम पुमो अर्थमहान् श्रीचैतन्य महाप्रभो मतमिदं तत्रादन परः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गुरतिशे नमः। नमो ब्रह्मण्याय देवाय गो ब्राह्मण हिताय च जगद्धिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। करोति वाचालं पंगं लंघयति गिरिं यत्कृपातं तं वन्दे श्रीगुरु दीनतारिणं श्री परमानंद माधवं श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वरं ओम पवित्रो पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थं गतोऽपि वा यस्मरेत् पुण्डरीकवक्षं साराह्यभ्यन्तरं शुचे श्री विष्णु हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभुजी दंडवत
कृष्ण धन्यवाद प्रणाम पद्मावती जी। हरे कृष्ण रवि प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्ण जगन्नाथ प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम। श्री गोपाल प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम। आनंदराम प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम। लक्ष्मी माता जी
प्रणाम प्रभु। हरे कृष्ण।
हरिश्री माता जी अभिषेक प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम। I thank every one of you for giving me this opportunity to speak something about Srimad Bhagavatam. So today I will be speaking about the Daksha curses from the purpose of the Srila Prabhupada, explanations given by the Srila Prabhupada and his disciples and various other senior acharyas. In this attempt, if I have made any mistake, please forgive me for this offense. So I beg at your lotus feet so that lust, anger, and greed gets vanished away in my life. So this is today we are seeing about the consequences of having lust and anger, especially the anger which causes so much disturbances in everyone's life. That is the result. Why Daksha cursed Shiva? And ultimately we know that he has got a goat head. So this is Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Kama Esha Proja Eva Rajo Guna Samudbhava. So the root cause of everything is the lust. We all have that lust, especially myself, is possessing so much tons and tons of lust. So I beg let your lotus feet so that this lust one day transforms into love for Radha and Krishna. Thank you so much. So without any delay, we'll start our session. See. So the last class, we have seen Sri Gopal Prabhu has wonderfully explained first chapter, the genealogy of Daksha. So in that we have seen Swayambhuva Manu and Satrupa had 2 sons and 3 daughters. The 2 sons were Uttanapada and Priyavata, whom we are going to discuss in 8th chapter. The 8th and 5th canto, 8th chapter of the 4th canto and 5th chapter, we will be discussing about the 2 sons of the Swayambhuva Manu. And we have seen the 3 daughters, Devahuti, Ahuti, and Prasuti. So we had a detailed description of Devahuti in the 3rd canto itself. We have description about Ahuti in the first chapter, which was spoken by Sri Gopal Prabhu on yesterday. So he also started about Prasuti, who was married to Daksha, and in this 48 sloka, in the first chapter onwards, we see the description of the daughters of Prasuti. And we have concluded yesterday with Sati being leaving her body because of anger towards Daksha. And it was asked, why? Vidura asked Maitreya, what is the cause of not having a progeny of the Sati? And why Sati has left her body? What happened? I want to know in detail. So then Maitreya explains what has transpired between Daksha and Shiva. So next 5 to 6 chapters, maybe up to 7th chapter of the same canto, Maitreya Muni explains what has transpired between Daksha and Shiva, why Daksha got angry on Shiva, what happened, why Sati has left her body, and what happened after her leaving the body. So in this chapter, the entire scenario starts. Maitreya starts with why Daksha has cursed Lord Shiva. In the first translation, you can see Vajra is inquiring, why was Daksha, who was so affectionate towards his daughter, envious of Lord Shiva, who is the best among the gentle, why did he neglect his daughter Sati? Hare Krishna, any volunteers to read the purport? Any Prabhuji or Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. 1 second.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. 1 second. Yeah, perfect. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the 2nd chapter of the 4th canto, the cause of dissension between the Lord Shiva and Daksha, which was due to the great sacrifice arranged by Daksha for the pacification of the entire universe, is explained. Lord Shiva is described here as the best of the gentle because he is not envious of anyone. He is equal to all the living entities, and all other good qualities are present in his personality. The word Shiva means all auspicious. No one can be the enemy of Lord Shiva, for he is so peaceful and renounced that he does not even construct a house for his residence, but lives underneath a tree, always detached from all the worldly things. The personality of Lord Shiva symbolizes the best of gentlemen. Then why was Daksha, who offered his beloved daughter to such a gentle personality, inimical towards the Lord Shiva so intensely that Sati, the daughter of Daksha and the wife of Lord Shiva, gave up her body? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So in this material world also, we see father loves her daughter very much. This is common in this material world. Whatever may be, a father loves the daughter very much. There is no one dear to him than the daughter, especially in any case. Parents have so much affection towards their children. Especially we've seen father having a affection towards daughter. So here, Prabhupada is explaining the qualities of the Shiva. Shiva is not an ordinary person. He is called Vaishnavana Shambhu. He is a supreme most Vaishnava. We know the qualities of Vaishnava, who is very gentle, Paradukha Dukhi. So all these qualities, 26 qualities, are possessed by Lord Shiva. So in this aspect, Vidura has got a doubt. What has happened? Why was Daksha angry upon a gentle Vaishnava like Shiva? So generally, when suppose assume that you are somewhere outside and two people are quarreling. Two people quarreled. The two people are not naturally inimical. Some disagreement has happened. The two people are virtuous, very good people. But when you come to know that these two people got into angry, they were fighting, they're doing verbal fight, and naturally you will get it out. What happened? These two gentlemen are very nice devotees or nice persons. What has happened between them and why they are quarreling? So in the same sense, Vidura is asking, see, Shiva is a gentle person and Daksha loves Sati. So Shiva is husband of her beloved Sati. Then what has happened between Daksha and Shiva? Next two. Lord Shiva, the spiritual master of the entire world, is free from enmity, is a peaceful personality, and is always satisfied in himself. He is the greatest among the demigods. How is it possible that Daksha could be inimical towards such an auspicious personality? Hare Krishna, anyone can read the highlighted text.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yes, yes.
Okay. The highlighted portion, Prabhu. Lord Shiva takes charge of reforming person who are ghosts and demons, not to speak of others who are godly. Therefore, he is a spiritual master of everyone, both the dull and demonic, and highly learned Vaishnavas. Such a personality cannot be object of envy. So, Vidura, in astonishment, asked why he was taken as such, especially by Daksha.
So Prabhupada explains that Daksha, the word Daksha means one who is materially opulent. Daksha means one who is materially opulent. He is Prajapati Daksha is Duhit Vatsala, an affectionate father. That we have seen in the text one. So here, Lord Shiva is explained that qualifications. Kilavatam Shrestha. He is the best among the gentle. Because he is Vaishnavana Meta Shambhu, and not only that, he is a spiritual master. Whom he is heading? He is heading the persons like ghosts and demons. So who are the ghosts who doesn't follow the Vedic scriptures? So it is very easy. One who is favorable. You can say, Prabhu, you do this, Mataji, you can do this. You can assign service. They do it. But those who are inimical towards God, towards Krishna, engaging them in the service is very much difficult. Generally, we see in the preaching activities, when we preach the new people, we have to be very careful in choosing their words. So much struggle which happens to preach a new person because he has his own conceptions. So, such kind of people, Shiva is heading. What to speak of the demigods? He is called Devoka Dev. He is the best among the demigods. So, such a person, how can he be inimical to any person? He cannot be object of envy. Nobody can envy Shiva. What does Shiva hold? He doesn't hold anything. He doesn't have a home. Prabhupada explains over here. He doesn't even have a home to live. He sits under the tree, in the Kailash, and he's doing his own chanting. He's chanting his holy names of Ram. So that's what he's explaining. He is a Chara Guru. He is a spiritual master of the old world. So he is not only the spiritual master of the living entities, he is a spiritual master of the even the non-living entities. So everything which is manifested in this material world, he is a spiritual master. He is nirvaira, he is non-envious. Obviously, Vaishnavas are non-envious. We know the 626 qualities of the Vaishnavas. He is Shanta Vigraha, he is always peaceful. You can see the pictures of Shiva, how peaceful he is meditating upon. So such a person cannot be an object of envy. He is Jagato Daivatam Mahar, he is the greatest of the Devatas. How can such a person become an object of envy for Daksha? That is what Vidura is inquiring about, the dissension happening between Daksha and Shiva. And Lord Shiva is, how then can there possibly be such an enmity between them that Sati, the most chaste goddess, could give up her body because of their quarrel? The quarrel is such a huge extent. The Sati had to leave her body. What has happened? This Vidura is asking. Then Maitra starts about explaining about the bitter quarrel. My dear Maitreya, to part with one's life is very difficult. Would you kindly explain to me how such a son-in-law and father-in-law could quarrel so bitterly that a great goddess Sati could give up her life? See, in this material world, we do not see any quarrel between son-in-law and father-in-law. But this is a very rare incident which happens in any life. Then how did such a gentle son-in-law and such a pious father-in-law? He is Prajapati. He does so many yajnas for the benefit of the whole world. He knows Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. So he knows this yajna is for peace of the entire humanity, entire living entities. Then how can such a pious Daksha could come into fight? The sage Maitreya said, in the former time, the leaders of the universal creation performed a great sacrifice in which all the great sages, philosophers, demigods, and fire gods assembled with their followers. Upon being asked by Vidura, the sage Maitreya began to explain the cause of the misunderstanding between Shiva and Daksha. So, in order to understand what is happening here, we can have a scenario. Let us assume ourselves in the role of a Daksha. So we are also having some opulences. We are also doing some yajnas like Daksha. So seeing it from the perspective of Daksha, and here the purpose of the Prabhupada. What is Prabhupada telling to Daksha mentality within us? Because of which the goddess Sati gave up her body. Thus begins the history of great sacrifice. So Maitreya goes to the flashback and says there is a sacrifice being performed, and where the demigods, all Brahmanas, came there to perform the yajna for the benefit of humanity at large. In that assembly, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva were also present. When Daksha, the leader of the Prajapatis, entered the assembly, his personal bodily luster, as bright as the effulgence of the sun, entire assembly was illuminated, and all the assembly personalities became insignificant in his presence. So Daksha was so effulgent. So the clothes, the aura which he carried, the ornaments which he wear, is so effulgent that all the demigods became dull before him. So there was not, all demigods put together was not comparable in the effulgence which Daksha carries. So naturally, when we do the good things, when we have pious things, so our face glows. Generally, we can see if we do the good things, we can see that gets reflected in our face. But when we do any bad things, when we do and we are envious of the people, so we can see the face expressions. It is say your face is the expression of what we carry inside, emotion which we carry inside. Cannot hide it in our face. So like that, He is a devotee of Vishnu. He's not an ordinary person. He is a son of Brahma. He is very devoted to Vishnu. Such a person is so effulgent that all the demigods are insignificant before his presence. So just like when Prabhupada explains, when sunshine comes, you can see the glowing insects with glow in the night. So when that glow comes before the illumination of the sun, it becomes so insignificant. Like that, the demigod's glow has become insignificant before Daksha. So that was the qualification of Daksha. So, influenced by his bodily luster, all the fire gods and other participants in that great assembly, the exceptions of the Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, gave up their own sitting places and stood up in the respect of Daksha. So every has, when we are in the school, when teacher comes, we get up and say good morning, madam. So when a great personality comes, we all stand up. When Maharaj has come, we all stood up and bowed our Dandavat Pranam. So when a great personality comes, when a great Vaishnava comes, we offer our obeisances by getting up from our positions and doing the Dandavat. So that in the same way, in the soul arena, all the demigods and Brahmanas are paying obeisances, paying respect by getting up from their position, except Brahma and Shiva. Naturally, Brahma is a father. He is superior to Daksha, so he need not give respect. Sitting is respect. So a father need not rise from the seat to offer respect to his son. Daksha was adequately welcomed by the president of the great assembly, Lord Brahma. After offering Lord Brahma respect, Daksha, by the order of the Brahma, properly took his seat. So Brahma being superior to Daksha, he is naturally the president who is presiding over the yajna. He is a president. Brahma is the president. On the order of the Brahma, Daksha is performing this yajna. So Daksha has paid obvious respect to his father and the president. Then the natural thing has come up. Daksha, before taking his seat, however, Daksha was very much offended to see Lord Shiva sitting and not showing him any respect. At that time, Daksha became greatly angry and his eyes glowing, he began to speak very strongly against the Lord Shiva. Hare Krishna, any volunteer to speak to read about the purpose? Hare Krishna.
What was the question, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes. Eighth text.
To read the
Purpose.
purport, Prabhu?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Lord Shiva, being the son-in-law of Daksha, was expected to show his father-in-law respect by standing with the others. But because Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are the principal demigods, their positions are greater than Daksha. Daksha, however, could not tolerate this, and he took it an insult by his son-in-law. Previously, also, he was not very much satisfied with the Lord Shiva, for Shiva looked very poor and was niggardly in dress.
Thank you, sir. So generally, we all possess certain opulences. So we have certain wealth, we have certain fame in our organizations or wherever you are working or at home. So we have certain opulences which we have, certain possessions, material possessions. Similarly, Daksha was holding so many material possessions, just like we discussed. Daksha means he is a materially opulent. So what happens when we have any such opulence? We try to protect it at any cost. Don't want to lose the opulence. Whatever we gain, don't want to lose it. We go to any extent to protect it, isn't it? So when generally we all do some investments. So either in the banks or in the mutual funds, whatever you are doing, you do some investments. So generally what happens when we start investing, we see whether my stock market is coming up or not. We want stock markets to go up and up and up. My investment should give me better returns. So whenever some return comes down, what we do? We pull it up so that my loss doesn't go further. Similarly, in any case, we try to maintain our opulences. We don't want to lose it. And by the way, the most important opulences which we possess, which are there in this material world, is first is a beauty. Everyone wants to look beautiful. We do so many forms. This hairstyle, that hairstyle. You can see so many hairstyles today. And not only that, we color our hair white, green, black, whatever nonsense we are doing. So many ways we are trying to do beautify ourselves. The cosmetics. Even there is we go to such an extent that even when we are getting old, the wrinkles starts. There are wrinkles coming up. Then there is a carry bags under our eyes. We do face uplifting. We have hair dyes. So much thing we are doing for making ourselves beautiful. Six packs, zero size, what not today. The entire advertisement is based on how we can improve our beauty. We do not want to lose our beauty. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, he travels from boyhood to youth to adult and to old age. This is going to happen. Old age is going to come. The old age is indication that we have to become more and more serious in our life. But what are we doing? We try to cover that old age, cover that anything. We have to maintain our beauty. But this beauty is not going to last anytime. Whatever we are going to do, this body itself is going to fall one day. When the soul leaves this body, there is no beauty in that body. We do not want to go near a dead body. How much makeup you put to the dead body, whatever color you put into the dead body, we are not going to approach a dead body. So the real beauty lies within us, which is the soul. When we are Krishna conscious, when we are soul conscious, when we give food to the soul, the internal beauty naturally rises. But we are not focused on the internal beauty, but we are on the external beauty, which is not going to last any longer. And the next is we have the strength. In the youth, we have naturally so much strength. Athletes, you can see, they do so much physical exercises. They can run 100 meters in few seconds. How incredibly strength they are. You can see so many boxers who by one punch gives a knockout to the opponent. What happened? Where are those strength persons? Today, that even when they got the old days, they could not hold a cup of tea. Where is the strength gone? When we become old or when we get diseased, we don't have any strength. Similarly, we all hanker for fame. What is this Mataji thinking about me? What is this Prabhuji thinking about me? What is that person? What is my boss thinking about me? We are focused more about our own fame. But what happens? As the time progresses, we will get dishonor. One who is trying for fame, he will naturally get the dishonor. For a respectful person, dishonor is the worst than the death. There cannot be more death, no need of physical death. Dishonor is itself death for him or her. We can see that in the Canto 1, where Ashwadama was brought by Arjuna and Krishna before Draupadi to kill. But in that aspect, what happens? Krishna advises Arjuna that you disrespect this Brahmana Ashwadama by cutting off the mustache and the hair. Because Dishonor is worse than that death. So people who are trying more and more for the fame, when they get dishonor, they cannot sustain. They cannot take it. Either they go into depression, they are stressful, or even commit suicides. Why are people committing suicide? Because their fame is lost. Especially in the movie industry, we have seen so many suicides. Why? Because they are unable to maintain the fame which they acquired. So, if these are all the opulences which we try to hold at any cost, but we cannot hold it. When these things go away, His Grace Ananda Vrindavan Prabhu explains that if we have an object which we love so much, there are two things which are going to happen. Either the object of our love goes away, gets separated from us, or we separate ourselves from the object of our love. Either way, because of death or whatever it may be, we too get our object of love and we get separated. That time, what happens? It is like an arrow piercing our heart. Whenever a person criticizes you, how it feels, pierces your heart to a maximum extent. Such a thing will happen when our object of love gets separated from us. This is going to be happening in this material world when we are trying to hold it and we are getting separated. So the only way we can be happy in this world is by the Harinam. Without the Harinam, without the holy names, one cannot become happy. Krishna makes sure that each and every one in the living entity is frustrated in this material world. Until and unless we are frustrated in this material world, last time we have seen, we are not going to take our spiritual life in a sincerely. So Krishna makes sure he knows where to press. Where this is the location I need to press and see whether this person is surrendered to me or not. Krishna makes sure that nobody in this world, and especially devotees, failed in this. Krishna is going to test each and every one. So the best way to become happy and the only recommended way is to do the Harinam. Harinameva kevalam, Harinameva kevalam, Harinameva kevalam, Kalo nasteva, 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 gatir anyata. In this Kali Yuga, there is no other way to become happy, to become successful, except the chanting of the holy names, especially the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that one of his lectures is explaining this material world is not a place for gentlemen. This is not a place for any gentleman. So, what is our goal? To perfect our lives in this worldly life, in this life itself, and go back to Godhead. Otherwise, what happens in the Kali Yuga, especially in the Gaur Kali Yuga, when you read the 12th canto, you see what is the situation, fate of the Kali Yuga, right, which is going to come after 6,000 years on. The people will eat their own fetus. That is the more and more situations, gory situations are going to happen. Devotees are going to be harassed. So devotees go into the caves and do their harinam. Such is the situation going to happen in the future. So this place is not a place for gentlemen. Better go back to Godhead. That is the only place where we can happy eternally. All sages, brahmanas, and fire gods present, please hear me with attention. For I speak about the manners of a gentle person. I do not speak out of ignorance or envy. Here, Daksha tried to pacify the assembly by presenting in a very tactful way that he was going to speak about the manners. So he was giving a lecture how one should behave in a mannerly way. He's trying to manipulate all the assemblies so that he wants to put his envy, he has to justify his envy. He is very envious why Shiva did not get up. And he was thinking that Shiva is his son-in-law. He has forgot that he is the chief principal deity there. One of the principal deity along with on the same lines as Brahma. We also know from the Shastra, even though Shiva comes from the Brahma, Shiva is given a higher priority than Brahma. That is the exalted position of a Shiva. But because of his material conception of the bodily conception, he was on the bodily platform. Oh, I'm doing so many yajnas. So people are coming and respecting me. All the crore devatas coming and respecting me. And why this son-in-law is not respecting me? Actually, the son-in-law is inferior to a father-in-law. Father-in-law should be the superior. But it is not the case with the Shiva. He has come as a principal deity to offer the results of the sacrifice. But Daksha is seeing on a material platform. He's not understanding the exalted position of the Shiva. So he's justifying his envy. Not only that, previously, Brahma has instructed Daksha to give Sati in marriage to Shiva, who is outwardly very ugly. He looks like an ugly person who lives in a crematorium. Which father wants to marry his child to such a person who doesn't have a home, who hosts ghosts and demons, who is outwardly dirty, uncombed hair, who is having a serpent on his shoulders. Not any father doesn't want to marry his daughter. Similarly, Daksha was not willing to marry Sati to Shiva, but on the order of Brahma, Shiva was given Sati. He was holding that envy towards Shiva. As far as envy is concerned, from the very beginning, he was very envious of the Lord Shiva, and therefore he could not distinguish his own particular envy. So when envy comes to us, we do not know what faults we are doing. We cannot judge ourselves. A person who is in a mode of goodness can understand what is wrong with him. But when envy comes into the body, to our mind, we think that I'm correct. All others are wrong except me. That's what Daksha is doing. Because of the envy, anger has arisen. And we see what happens when anger gets arisen. What is the consequences of the anger? We go to such an extent that we criticize Vaishnavas, do Vaishnava, which has done here. Shiva has spoiled the name and fame of the governors of the universe and has polluted the path of gentle manners. Because he is shameless, he does not know to act. You see how Daksha criticizing a Parama Vaishnava. What he does. So why Daksha is doing? He wanted to impress upon the minds of all the greats here. He want to impress. So in our day-to-day life, we also try to impress upon some people. I'm good. I'm showing myself as a good person. But internally, we know whether we are good or not. Having dhoti, kurta, tilak, yes, these are all things good, is required. But what is the idea? What is the mentality behind wearing this? Why are we doing this? Are we trying to impress upon the other Vaishnavas or other persons to show that I am a good person, I am a converted person? But internally, we hold the lust, anger, and grief. But when that comes out, what happens? Before a junior or before other persons, whatever we faked comes out. What happens? We cannot show our face. So naturally, we go away. So when we do all these things to impress others, we are not going to stay longer in this satsang. Because we cannot face. Because we have faced dishonor, we cannot face the devotees. But devotees don't take that later. Devotees want to protect that person. But we ourselves go away when we try to impress. The words used against Lord Shiva by Daksha can be understood in a different way. Even devotees understand this in a different way. So it says, Yashogna. Daksha says, Shiva is a Yashogna, which means one who spoils name and fame. But in essence, what does Saraswati mean? What does the devotees mean? Shiva's name is such an exalted position that all other names are insignificant. So that is the exalted position of the Lord Shiva. And Daksha used the word Niratrapa, which also can be used in two senses. One sense is one who is stunted. So you see how Daksha is criticizing. In another sense is one who is the maintainer of the persons who have no other shelter. So Shiva is who is the in charge of persons who has no other shelter. Demigods, hobgoblins, all those people. So that's why Shiva is called Bhutanatha. So he is a Bhutanatha. He is Natha for Bhutas. It is not so easy to hold such a position. Guide persons who are very ignorant. That is the exalted service which Shiva is doing for Krishna. He has already accepted himself as my subordinate. By marrying my daughter in the presence of the fire and Brahmanas, he has married my daughter, who is equal to Gayatri, and he has pretended to be just like a honest person. You can see that he's saying that he's pretending to be an exalted person. That means he's saying that Shiva is not a honest person. Indirectly, he's saying. So he's comparing Sati to Gayatri. So she is exalted. My daughter is the exalted person. And my son-in-law is not such an exalted person. He is a worse person. That is what Daksha is criticizing here. That he has eyes like a monkey, yet he has married my daughter, whose eyes are just like those of a deer. Nevertheless, he did not stand up to receive me, nor did he think it fit to welcome me with sweet words. He is saying that Shiva has an eyes of a monkey. Sometimes you see that monkey eyes, it is very small. Not only that, monkey's eyes are also said to be lusty. Even in the forest, we see monkeys are involved in the abominable acts. Their eyes are looking only for sexual pleasures, or it wants certain objects of sense gratification. So he's saying that he has three eyes which are like a monkey, means Shiva is trying to seduce my daughter who is very beautiful. We see in this movies, right? Father doesn't want her daughter to marry to the hero. And he defames the hero, and at the same time, increases the fame of his daughter. That's an envy. She is my daughter. So my daughter will naturally be an exalted person. So it's a pride, the ego. So generally, in this world, we see parents hold their children as an object of trophy. His Grace Amal Mahaprabhu writes in his parenting book. So one of the parenting mistakes which we do is to consider our child as an object of prize, like a prize. So when you get into a successful in a particular field, you are given a trophy. We think that our child is a trophy, and we do all the mistakes. So here Daksha is also committing the same mistake. He is thinking that Sati is his own daughter. That is an ego which Daksha is carrying. Because of that ego and envy, he is criticizing an exalted version of Shiva. I had no desire to give my daughter to this person who has broken all rules and civility because of not observing the required rules and regulations. He is impure but I was obliged to hand over my daughter to him, just as one teaches the messages of Vedas to the Sudra. So, in the olden days, a Sudra was not given a chance to get access to the Vedas, because if you give a weapon into the wrong person, what happens? He uses he misuses it. So a knife given to a thief kills another person, but a knife given to a doctor does a surgery. Similarly, this weapon of knowledge is given to a person who is not qualified, he can misuse it. We can see so many in our day-to-day life. So many high-class people, highly intellectual people who join the militants, terrorists, and they misuse their knowledge to create bombs or to destroy the worlds. So even the knowledge in the wrong hands proves to be wrong. That's why earlier Sudras were not allowed to take this Veda knowledge. Similarly, Daksha is saying that Shiva is not eligible to get the hands of the Sati. So he did not want to give Sati to Shiva. According to estimation, Shiva was unclean in habits and not worthy to have the hands of his daughter, Sati, who was so beautiful, enlightened, and chaste. In other words, according to Daksha, the entire transaction of the marriage of his daughter with Shiva was not in. That's what he's saying. He lives in the filthy place, like crematoriums. Companions are ghosts and demons, naked like a madman, sometimes laughing and sometimes crying. He smears crematorium ashes all over his body. He does not bathe regularly, and he ornaments his body with the garlands of his skull and a bone. Therefore, only in the name he is Shiva. Shiva means auspicious. So if you see that qualifications, whatever he is holding, Shiva is holding, is it any auspicious? Is it auspicious to say in crematoriums? Is it auspicious to smear ashes, having ghosts? That's what Raksha is saying. Actually, he is the most bad and inauspicious creature. Thus, he is very dear to the crazy beings in the gross mode of ignorance, and he is their leader. Imagine, suppose, forget about the glory of Shiva. For assume, for now, don't think that Shiva is a devotee. Shiva is exalted Vaishnavana, so is an ordinary person. Do any one of us would give our daughter to such a person? Such a person like this Shiva? If you do not know the exalted position of the Shiva, naturally we don't give it. But when we know the glories about the person, we see, yes, you are an eligible person. Here, Daksha, because of his material opulences, he is not able to understand the glories of the Shiva. And he's treating as an ordinary person. And he's saying, he is not fit to get my daughter. Those who do not regularly bath are supposed to be in association with the ghosts and the crazy creatures. If you do not take bath regularly, it is as good as we are taking association of the ghosts and crazy people. Then what will be our consciousness be? So regularly we have to take bath. So one Brahman was explaining to me that sometimes we bath from our head. So we have shikas, or Matajis have all the ponytail, all the long hairs. So when we do head bath, what happens? Hair drips from the shika or the hair. It should not happen. The water dripping from the hair should not fall on the ground. What happens? So when it falls on the ground, all the inauspicious bad things, like all the ghosts, will come back in our back. They traverse along with us. That's why in the olden days, when we have a head bath, we used to tie with a towel or something. So Prabhuji's and Mataji's, we should not let our water drip from our hair. Otherwise, what will happen? We'll have an association of the ghosts and the crazy creatures. So we should all take part in a proper way. Lord Shiva is so kind that he gives shelter to such a creatures and gradually elevates them to spiritual consciousness. Sometimes it is seen that great personalities meet with fallen souls, not for any personal interest, but for the benefit of the souls. Recently, last week, we had an association of His Holiness Loknath Swami Maharaj. He is such an exalted devotee. What benefit will he get when he has association with all of us? We are struggling to do our services, to chant. We all have envy, lust, greed, everything. What qualification we have so that exalted persons like Maharajas who are visiting our satsangs taking? Why should they take? And if you see during the kirtan, when Loknath Maharaj was doing the kirtan, he was saying Mancha Kalpatarupyasya. He was literally almost falling at our feet. He's doing like this. Vancha Kalpatarupyasya Kripa Sindhu Evacha Pranam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. All the great Maharajas, Jayapatak Maharaj, Radhanath Swami Maharaj, they all do the same things, similar things. Are we so exalted persons so that we are giving our association to Maharaj? It's not like that. They are so humble, and so that they are considering us as Vaishnavas. Then they are thinking that our association is the fortunate first things. Why they come? Because they wanted to share Krishna consciousness with us. They want to elevate us in Krishna consciousness. Just like Lord Shiva is doing to the ghosts and spirits. He doesn't have any requirement to associate with such a creatures, but he is going to them so that they can be engaged in Krishna consciousness. So on the request of Lord Brahma, I handed over my chaste daughter to him. Although he is devoid of all cleanliness and his heart is filled with nasty things. What happened? Because this anger is increasing. He's saying that on the request of Brahma, he's not even mentioning that on the request of my father. You can see, he's addressing as Brahma. He's not even giving respect to his father. Because of him, I have to give my daughter. Now it is a fault of Brahma to advise Daksha that he has to give Sati. Now criticizing his own father and presiding person, Brahma. The duty of a parent to hand over the daughters to a suitable person, just repeating the family tradition in cleanliness, gentle behavior, wealth, and social position. So when marriage happens, it should be happening on an equal platform, especially psychophysical nature. So the father of daughter sees a person who is qualified, and then he hands over the daughter to that person. But in today's age, what is happening? What is the qualification which a person should have? A nice bank balance, pay package, trips to foreign countries. These are the things which they are seeing. Yes, these things are okay. These things are good. Financial security is also important. You all see the financial security. That is important. But more than the financial security, it is the cleanliness, gentle behavior, social position. All these things should be mattered before giving order to a family. Because of his temperament of gross anger, he was not even prepared to accept Brahma as his father. In other words, he accused even Brahma of being less intelligent because he advised Daksha to so. So that is a situation which anger leads us. It makes us forget what situation we are in. Makes us forget whom are we talking. It may even go to the extent that we may criticize Maharajas. So Krishna says, my devotee never perishes, even though because of the previous habits, if my devotee commits a sin, because the devotee is fixed in Krishna consciousness, he is an elevated person. But what will you do when a senior devotee does some mistake? he start pointing. See, I told you, this person is such a fool. He is committing such a sin. He is not fit to be a devotee. We all do that because of anger, envy, anger towards that person, and we commit Vaishnava aparadha and go back. We do not know when we go out of this. Simply Krishna diverts us to go out. You are not fit for this. So we all should take care of our anger. We have to control our anger. In anger, one forgets everything, and thus Daksha, in anger, not only accused great Lord Shiva, but criticizes his own father, Lord Brahma. The sage Maitreya continued. Thus Daksha, seeing Lord Shiva sitting as if against him, washed his hands and mouth and cursed him in the following words. He washed his mouth and hands. In Telugu we say that, Nor kadukun hitteranda. This is a very thing we use in Telugu. So he washed his hands and feet, mouth, and means he is pouring everything, his envy towards all the people who are assembled. The demigods are eligible to share in the oblations of the fire sacrifice, but Lord Shiva, who is the lowest of the demigod, should not have a share. This is the curse which Daksha is giving to Shiva. Oblations which we do give it Yajna goes to all the demigods. See, just like we have that what is called constitution. Under constitution, we have so many departments: fire department, police department, so many departments. So we all pay taxes. So taxes go to all these departments as their salary. So we are all bound to pay taxes. So the taxes which we pay to the demigods is the yajnas which we do. So all these yajnas will go to the different departments, different demigods. So similarly, one department is held by Shiva, and our sacrifice go to Shiva. And Daksha is saying that these oblations will not go to Shiva. So internally, Shiva is very happy. I'll explain. Shiva is happy, thinking that now I no need to deal with materialistic persons. Though demigods are the devotees, they are materialistic devotees. They have materialistic tendencies. Indra, Chandra, we see, they have materialistic tendency. But Shiva is an exalted Vaishnava. So, senior Vaishnavas does not mix with materialistic people. So Shiva is feeling happy that now I am liberated. Now I am happy that I need not sit with materialistic demigods and take the sacrifices. Here Srila Prabhupada explains about, gives an example of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So because he being a Babaji, everyone is coming towards him to show the horoscope, to say, to ask certain boons from them. So they were disturbing Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Then what did he do? So he went and sat near a latrine. He said, big toilets, we cannot go stand there. Obnoxious smell. We cannot stay for even a moment there. So Gaurakishore Das Babaji was staying there and doing his Harinam so that people will not come there and torture him. That is an exalted position which Gaurakishore Das Babaji has. So Shiva was feeling that these materialistic demigods are troubling me or always interrupting me in my chanting of the holy names. So now, because of the Daksha curses, I no longer need to associate with these gods. They are not going to bother me, and I can do my now very. This is the exalted position of Lord Shiva. Such is the spiritual master of our great personality has His divine grace, Om Vishnupada Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami. Lord Shiva behaved in his own way, quite materialistic persons. Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, in spite of the request of all the members of the sacrificial assembly, Daksha in great anger cursed Lord Shiva and then left the assembly and went to his home. Any devotee would like to read the highlighted text? It's a very important story. Any volunteer? Hare Krishna Jagannath. You can read the only
Hare
the
Krishna.
highlighted text.
Hare Krishna. And purport, no? And anger is so detrimental that even a great personality like Daksha, out of anger, left the arena where Brahma was presiding, and all the great sages and chaos and saintly persons were assembled. All of them requested him
Only
not.
highlighted this. Only highlighted this. It appears that
Yes, sir. It appears that all the members of the assembly, including Lord Brahma, requested him not to be angry and leave their company. But in spite of all these requests, he left. That is the effect of cruel anger. Avoid three things: lust, anger, and the mode of passion.
very good. So here you can see what does an anger do? It detriments the progress in spiritual life. So when we get angry towards devotee in a satsang, what happens? We cannot stay with them. So we naturally try to go like Daksha. So all the other devotees, our counselor, all the senior persons, they try. Prabhu or Mataji, don't go out of the satsang. Association is the most matters. In spite of hearing all these things, we go out of the satsang. Why? Why we do? We see so many people who has come, who has executed devotional service very excellent. They did a rapid progress, and they left the satsangs. Why? We cannot see coming. We cannot see coming to our Sunday programs. Why? What happened? Because we have that anger, lust, anger, and passion. This is passion is going to kill our devotional service, devotional life. It is detrimental to even such an exalted person like Daksha. Daksha, who is a devotee. What about the fate of a sadhakas like us? Are we greater than Daksha? No, we are not greater than Daksha. So what we have to do? We have to follow one instruction which Srila Prabhupada has given all of us. Please cooperate. Please cooperate. That's what at the last moment Prabhupada has given to all of us. If we cannot do the services like other, help them in the services. Support them in the services. Be a supportive hand. But cooperate with all devotees. Don't criticize the devotees. Don't envy the devotees. Don't leave the satsangs. So it's like a mad elephant offense. Upon understanding that Lord Shiva has been cursed, Nandishvara, one of the Lord Shiva's principal associates, became greatly angry. His eyes became red, and he prepared to curse Daksha and all the Brahmanas present there who had tolerated Daksha's curse Shiva in harsh way. So now what happened when not only Daksha is angry, the entire atmosphere is becoming a tense situation. Even every person is becoming angry. Anger is such a contagious thing. Just like happiness is a contagious thing, anger is also a contagious thing. We can see angry situation which is happening here. Nandishvara, who is the follower of Lord Shiva, great follower of Lord Shiva, is now feeling that anger. He started cursing. Now the entire environment is becoming a cursing situation. One is cursing the other. Nandishvara is cursing the Brahmanas, and Brahmanas is cursing the followers of the Lord Shiva. He was silent and tolerant. So although Lord Shiva will also have cursed Daksha in a similar way, he was silent and tolerant. But Nandishvara, his follower, was not tolerant. Of course, as a follower, it was the right for him to tolerate. So when our senior Vaishnavas are being insulted, we should not tolerate. But at the same time, we should not go in a situation where we counter curse. But he should not have cursed the Brahmanas who were the present. Why? Because Brahmanas were supposed to maintain the all the Varnashrama dharmas. They were the key persons who gives the Vedic knowledge. If they are cursed, then what happens? The entire Varnashrama system, it gets lost. That's why we can see even Ringi cursed a great Vaishnava, Parikshit Maharaj. Then what happened? The entire Brahmanical community was cursed. Here also we can see the entire Brahmanical community was being cursed by Nandishvara. What happened because of this cursing? We can see the Varnashrama system has broken down. There are no qualified Brahmana. This Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada says, this Krishna consciousness creates so many Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. So it's not a caste Brahmana, it's a quality Brahmana, which authorized Vaishnavas like ISKCON and other things. Or Sri Sampradaya has giving us. Anyone who has accepted Daksha as the most important personality and neglected Lord Shiva because of envy is less intelligent, and because of visualizing duality will be bereft of transcendental knowledge. So because Daksha was materially engrossed, he doesn't have a spiritual knowledge. He does not understand that he is the body, he is not the body, he is the soul. So Nandi is saying that whoever supports Daksha, whether it's a Brahmana or whatever it may be, if one supports Daksha, one is in the side of Daksha, are fools. Similarly, when we take the association of the materialistic people, when we support materialistic people, we lose our intelligence. One should associate with the devotees. But instead of that, if we associate with the materialistic persons, we are going to be cursed by Nandishvara. The first curse of Nandishvara is supporting Daksha in this mentality, was foolishly identifying himself the body. Therefore, Nandishvara's curse was that anyone who supported Daksha would be bereft of transcendental knowledge. What is that? Of the soul, and thus also deprived of the knowledge of spirit. Supreme Lord. Even after reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, we could not understand what is the position of Lord Shiva and Krishna. Pretentiously religious household life in which one is attracted to material happiness and thus also attracted to the superficial explanations of the Vedas, robs of one's intelligence, attaches one to the fruitive activities. What is Nandishwara saying? Pretentiously religious householder. He is telling us we are pretending to be a religious person. So we are going towards Vedas. Why? So that I get the promotion, I get a beautiful body, I get a beautiful spouse or a obedient spouse. So we are going for Vedas. Why? Because we want certain material desires. All the opulence gets increases. Our beauty, our name, our fame gets increased. This is the reason why we go to Vedas. Ultimate thing is we go so that we get the heavenly planets. But what is Krishna saying? Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna. Mam Upechetu Kaunteya Punas Janmana Vidyate. Even at the stage of Brahma, you are going to take birth again and again, suffering the birth, death, old age, and disease. Instead, you worship me. When you worship me, when you come to my place, you will not take these lowest positions. But when we go with the materialistic people, when you pretend, when we go for Vedas for only these flowery languages, then we are bereft of the transcendental knowledge. Ultimately, we forget what is the purpose of the Vedas. What is the purpose of Vedas? Vedas is sarvan ahame vedyo. All the Vedas, we have to know Krishna only. We forget these things. But Krishna is the ultimate for the Veda. Then our entire life gets wasted. There's a curse, second curse, which Nandishwara is giving. This flowery language of the Vedas mostly attracts persons who identify with the body. So when we identify with our body, we are falling for the flowery language of the Vedas. To them, such happiness as that of the heavenly kingdom is everything. It is stated here that such persons are attracted to Gramishka, which means material happiness, which is temporary. So Daksha has accepted the body as all in all. Therefore, since he has forgotten the Vishnu Pada or Vishnu Gati and is attached to sex life only, within a short time, he will have the face of a goat. So face of what does a goat do? It follows the another goat. Blindly it goes. So that person has taken to IIT, my son has to take it to IIT. This person has gone to become a doctor, my daughter has to become a doctor. So this is the reason why we train our children or ourselves. We are dull-headed. Why? Because we have accepted this body is all in all. You want to maintain this body at any cost. What happens? He have a dull-headed leg. Those who have become a dull as matter by cultivating materialistic education and intelligence are decently involved in fruitive activities. Such men have purposefully insulted Lord Shiva. May they continue the cycle of repeated birth and death. So, materialistic education, Nandishwar is saying, if we have only the materialistic education is not giving the differentiation between the body and the soul. So if we are stuck to only materialistic education, we are insulting Lord Shiva. When we are insulting Lord Shiva, we cannot understand his body and the soul, and we are going to take birth and death. This is going to be repeated. May those who are envious of Lord Shiva being attracted by the flowery language of the enchanting Vedic promises and who have thus become dull, always remain attached to the fruitive activities. What is this? What is to me? If I do this, what am I going to get the result? We all fall into this materialistic tendencies. In a flower, there is honey, but the honey is not eternal. This is not eternal nectar. These Brahmanas taken to the education, austerity, and vows only for the purpose of the maintaining the body, they shall be devoid of discrimination between what to eat and what to not eat. They will acquire money begging from door to door simply for satisfaction of the body. What does today's Brahmanas are doing? Instead of maintaining the education, this austerity, all the vows, for the satisfaction of Krishna, what are the Brahmanas doing? They are trying to maintain their bodies. They are forgetting what to eat and what not to eat. Today, we see Brahmanas eating non-veg, claiming themselves to be a Brahmana or another elevated person, and they are eating non-veg, drinking coffee and tea. So they forget what to eat and what not to eat. People will eat what should not be eaten. Junk food should not be eaten. We all know that, but we still go and eat. It lacks discrimination. They will acquire money. What are the Brahmanas are doing right now? They are going to jobs, doing all the things only to maintain the body. This is not the duty of a Brahmana. The Brahmana's duty is to acquire Vedic Brahman knowledge and distribute this knowledge to all the people. So the Krishna conscious movement is training us to become a bona fide Brahmanas. Whether we are born as a Brahmana or from other community, doesn't matter. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, whether we take birth in the family of a Chandala, when we chant the holy names of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, one we can become an exemplified spiritual master. Whether we are born in the family of a Chandala. This is the third curse inflicted by Nandishwara on the Brahmanas who supported. So-called Brahmanas are no longer interested in understanding the nature of the Supreme Brahman, although Brahmana means one who extends the knowledge. Today's Brahmanas doesn't want to know about God. So-called Brahmanas who come in originally Brahmanical families have left their occupational duties, but they do not allow others to occupy the post of the Brahmanas. We can see the life of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, where he defeated the caste Brahmanas on the order of his father, Bhakti Vinoda Thakur. Such Brahmanas, having been cursed by Nandishwara, are actually in a position where they have no discrimination between eatables and non-eatables. So, Chaitanya Prabhu has so many Sutra disciples. It's an example. Haridas Thakur, Ramananda Rai, these people are not a Brahmanas. We say Namacharya. The holy name, the Acharya of the holy names is a Mohammedan. So it doesn't matter which family we take in. When we sincerely chant the holy names, we can become a bona fide Vaishnava. When all the hereditary Brahmanas were thus cursed by Nandishwara, Dev Brigu as a reaction condemned and the followers of the Lord Shiva with this very strong Brahmanic curse. So this is the curse which is given by Ishvara. So the best part to so Prabhupada explains that when the boon which we receive in this material world or the curse which we receive in this material world are both curses because they put us in this material world only. Good and bad in this material world is both bad. So what we have to do, go out of this material world, transcend this material world. The best path is to transcend all the material curses and benedictions. Swargam Praktirastu, Ishtakamyadi Siddhirastu, even those things are also curses for a devotee. Take the shelter of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, and remain in a transcendental position. Dharmana Paritejya Mahamekam Sharanam Vraja. One who takes a vow to satisfy Lord Shiva or who follows such principles. Now, Brahmanas are cursing the followers of the Shiva. Now, see, what is anger doing? You are a fool. No, you are a fool. This is what we do in angry. This is what we see in the material anger. It is sometimes seen that the devotees of Lord Shiva imitate the characteristics of Lord Shiva. So here, Prabhupada is explaining that it's the fake followers of the Shiva. One who says that Shiva is taking ganja, I will also take ganja. Shiva is doing this, and I also do that. He is not talking. This curse doesn't affect those who are a bona fide devotees of Shiva. But in the name of Lord Shiva, in the name of following Lord Shiva, these people do all the obnoxious things. We see in the Kasi, all those things, there are certain community, they do their abominable things, which human being cannot think about. They take the intoxications, they eat the dead bodies. So these people they imitate Lord Shiva. Such a curse given by the Brahmanas work on those things. Lord Shiva was ordered by Supreme Personality of God to preach the impersonal Mayavada. So we know who has come to spread Mayavada. Lord Shiva has come in the form of Sripad Shankaracharya only to separate non-devotees from the devotees. He spread Mayavada philosophy. The Shiva Purana, it is stated that Lord Shiva said to Parvati that in the Kali Yuga, in the body of the Brahmana, he would preach the Mayavada philosophy. So, in one sense, those who are following this doctrine of Shiva are nothing but Mayavadis or demons. So, one has to, it is said, the worshipper of Lord Shiva, there is a section who live in a hellish life. Srimad Bhagavatam are authorized scriptures that are considered Sat Shastra or scriptures, which lead one to. So, only two books are sufficient. One is Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. These are all Sat Shastras which transcends us from this material world to this world. Those who vow to worship Lord Shiva are so foolish that they imitate him by keeping long hairs on their heads. When initiated into worship of Lord Shiva, they prefer to live in wine, flesh, and other such beings. So there are certain class of people who maintain long hairs. He said, indulging in wine and wheat, keeping long hair, not bathing daily, smoking ganja are some bad habits which the foolish creatures do. But today, what is happening? In the name of fashion, maintaining the long hairs, such people are cursed by these brahmanas. So in the initiation, in the Shiva mantra, there is Mudrikastaka, in which it is sometimes recommended that one make his sitting place on the vagina and thus desire nirvana. So one gets indulged into the bodily act. This is also offered according to Shiva Agama scripture on the method of worshipping Lord Shiva. Such followers of Lord Shiva doesn't get the transcendental. Bhrigu continued, since you blaspheme the Vedas and the Brahmanas, who are the followers of the Vedic principles, it is understood that you have already taken shelter of atheism. Now Bhrigu is saying to Nandi, by saying that you should not follow the Vedas, you have already into the curse. You are already become an atheist. So Vedas are not given by some ordinary person. It is Paurusha, which we learned in the SSR sessions. Vedas are given by Supreme Personality of Lord Sri Krishna. One who says that Vedas should be avoided, one should not follow Vedas, then he is as good as an atheist. So that's why, even though we mentioned Buddha in the incarnation of Krishna, The doctrine of Buddha is not taken. There is no doctrine actually in Buddha. The one thing that one following Buddhism, but there is no doctrine which is left by Buddha because he has rejected the Vedas. So Sri Chaitanya Prabhu has said that the followers of Buddhist system of religion are called Nastikas. So Nastika means atheism. In order to establish his doctrine of non-violence, Lord Buddha flatly refused to believe in the Vedas. Shankaracharya stopped the system of religion in the India and forced it to go out of India. So that's what he says. What is how Vaishnavism is coming into limelight. The Vedas give the eternal regulative principles of auspiciousness in the past. The strong evidence of this principle is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is called Janardana. Therefore, he does not have the power to speak or right to speak the Vedas independently. Every living entity within this material is subject to 4 deficiencies. We all have 4 deficiencies. He commits mistakes, which we all know. He accesses one thing for the other, cheating propensity, senses gets cheated. So, because of all these things, we cannot write Vedas. So, how can we understand Vedas? How can we read Vedas? It is by association of a spiritual master. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprasnena seveya upadeshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. By approaching a spiritual master, serving him, can understand the essence of all the Vedas. That's why no one can trace out the history of Vedas. Our science is trying to see where the Vedas have started, which we cannot do it. In hearing the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, so it is a Tena Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. So Vedas are given from heart to heart transfer, from the Supreme Personality of Godhead to Brahma. We cannot trace the date, but we know where it has occurred. So, in order to understand Veda, it's a heart to heart transformation between spiritual master and the disciple. So, this is entire the way how the Vedas were propagated. The conclusion is that persons who rebel against the Vedic principles are themselves the evidence that Vedas are authoritative because not following the Vedic principle. Sometimes we say we should not follow the Vedas, we should transcend these Vedas. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned. But that doesn't mean that we are all atheists. It is said that one should not consider the Vedas as all in all. We have to, essence of the Vedas is Srimad Bhagavatam, which we have to read. So by blaspheming the personal principles of the Vedas, which are pure and supreme path of the saintly person, certainly you followers of the Bhutapati, Lord Shiva, will descend to the standard of atheism. One who blasphemes the Vedas will fall into the category of Bhutas. The characteristics of the lowest class of men have already been described. They do not bath, they have long hair and heads, and they are addicted to intoxicants. That's why you have to be clean inside and outside. Sa bahya abhyantaram suchi. One should not have the long hair, especially for the Prabhujis. And they are addicted to intoxicants. The sage Maitreya said, when such cursing and counter cursing was going to happen on between Lord Shiva's followers and parties of Daksha and Brigu, Lord Shiva became very morose. Not saying anything, he left the arena of the sacrifice, followed by his disciple. You can see the exalted position of Shiva. So, in order to maintain the peace, he has taken Nandishwara and his devotees outside the arena, calmly following. Thought the greatest Vaishnava, he was so sober that he did not see anything. A Vaishnava is always tolerant, and Lord Shiva is considered the topmost Vaishnava. Without any interest, why Shiva was had here? Because all his devotees, all his followers, and all the followers of Daksha, they are counter cursing each other without any interest in a spiritual life. They are wasting their times. We all argue with each other. That argument, is there any benefit going to happen? We are all going to lose our spiritual life. Shiva is feeling sad for that. Because of that, he has taken Nandi and all his disciples away. Thus, the only alternative left for the Lord Shiva is to live in order to follow. The sage Maitreya, oh Vidura, all the progenitors of the universal population has executed a sacrifice for thousands of years. For sacrifice is the best way. They did not stop the sacrifice. Daksha left, Shiva left, But the Brahmanas did not stop because they know that Bhoktaram Hegadatsam Sarvaloka Maheshwara. So it is for the benefit of all the living entities. They continued all the sacrifices. My dear Vidura, carrier of the bows and arrows, all the demigods who were performing the sacrifice took their bath at the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna after contemplating the yajna performance. Such a bath is called our Pratasthana. After thus becoming purified in heart, they departed for respective abodes. So the sacrifices were not stopped. They did the purificatory activities by taking bath, all those things, and then continued the sacrifice. One who is honest may be faithful to the government, but he does not need to bribe the government. So, if we are faithful, we no need to bribe the government. So, similarly, if we are faithful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we no need to bribe the individual demigods. The supremest yajna in this world, in this age, is Nama Sankirtan Yajna. One should not stop this Sankirtan Yajna, means irrespective of what happens in our life. We have to continue this Harinam. We have to chant the holy name, 16 rounds of the holy name, minimum, associate with the devotees. Similarly, one who engages in transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord does not need to worship the demigod, or does he have to any tendency to doesn't give us the right to respect the demigods. So it's like Igneous and Kirtana prior Nikyanti he Sumedasa. The holy performance of all kinds of yajnas simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When Lord Vishnu is satisfied, all the demigods are satisfied. Thus ends the Paribhakti way. This is the end. So, in essence, in a nutshell, what is Prabhupada mentioning here is, what is Vidura mentioning here is, we are all bound by bodily conception of life. We think that body is all now. We do not have transcendental knowledge about the soul because we are all educated in only material education. What happens because of the bodily conception of life? We all have lust. Because of the lust, another two gates open, which is anger and greed. What does this anger do? It is propagating. It destroys our own spiritual life, and it also destroys the spiritual life in the satsang. So we commit Vaishnava aparadhas. We will be bereft of this holy name without the spiritual knowledge. So Prabhupada says that by chanting the holy names in the association of the pure devotees, the reading Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, and following the four regulative principles, we all do, and avoid this Vaishnava aparadha. Lust, anger, and greed should be removed from our life, so that we can maintain our healthy selves. I open this forum for your suggestions, questions, or if there is any mistake which I have done, please suggest me or please correct it. I'm open to everything.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prasad.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very wonderful session, Prabhu.
I cannot hear you, Prabhu.
Oh, I'm just saying it is really wonderful session,
Okay.
Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you so much. There is a lot of things we should have discussed. Because of limited time, I had to rush. Main points I have touched upon. I hope I touched upon main points. Hare Krishna, Akinchan Prabhu, Sri Gopal Prabhu, Giriraj Prabhu, Lavanya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhuji. I think you covered it really well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for a wonderful.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Actually, I wanted to just confirm one thing, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Not confirm, clarify. You mentioned that the water should not drip from the hair of anyone, like Sika or ladies' hair. So, is it mentioned, Prabhuji, in the Bhagavatam or?
It is mentioned in other shastras.
Other shastras, okay, Prabhuji, because I read and I did not Maybe I thought somewhere I missed. That's why I was asking.
So this
Okay.
was when I was when we
I
are
have
doing
been, yeah.
when
Please
we
go
are doing
on.
the final rites of my grandmother, the
Yeah.
Brahmanas who are doing that,
Yeah.
they explain throughout from the scriptures that these things
Yes.
should not happen.
Yes, Prabhuji, we have been hearing this since childhood.
Yes.
But only thing is, I wanted to just ask whether it is mentioned here also or some other sastras.
I don't
Thank you
think
so
it is.
much.
I didn't hear in Bhagavatam, but this is here
Yeah.
in the other stuff.
Okay, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, that is true. We are also listening and we'll be tying with a towel as you mentioned. Correct, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It was a wonderful class. Thank you. Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much. Thank you for all of your assistance and encouragement. I pray that because of your association, all my lust gets devoured. I carry so much lust. It should act one day. It should act as a purification for myself. It is one of the things which I am expecting from Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Pray, Prabhuji, but we are all in the same boat, Prabhuji, sailing in the same boat. We should all, means about anger, as you mentioned, all these things, really we should control, and that is true, Prabhuji. Prabhupada, we are really lucky, Prabhuji, in this life. We got that Guru as a like a great Guru, and our Siksha Gurus. Really, we should be thankful to each and every one of them. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. If there are no questions, no other things, kind of.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So in the next five chapters, we can see this progressing. How Sati goes leaves her body when what happens. We can see in the next five chapters.
Okay. Thank you.
Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo